Hey there, everybody. It's Kelly Paletto with the Grit, Guts, and Courage show. And this is the show where I chat with people who I know have had something happen to them and how they had the grit, guts, and courage to get through it. So today we're chatting with Lois. And Lois has this incredible story that I just can't wait for her to share with you. So welcome, Lois.
Oh, thank you, Kelly, and it's great to be here. And I'm gonna try and keep this humorous because that's how I got through it, right? A life of interesting events, as I put it.
Great.
So, I don't know where you want me to begin. I think I was looking at my outline for my book, which is called "Oops, I'm in the Wrong Body," and embracing your divine soul, and that's kind of encapsulates my whole journey to where I am today. But I was looking at the chapter outlines and going, what do I want to talk about today? But I kind of looked at that title of grits, guts, and courage, and I think you have to have grits if you want to live in a family with 9 siblings.
Oh my God, 9.
And I called myself a very middle child because I was number 6, and I felt like I was the mediator all the time. But I also, as a child, even felt I was just kind of displaced. And I don't really know that I even understood it. I just know that I used to say to my mom, Mom, I think I'm in the wrong family. I don't think I'm supposed to be here. I think I'm supposed to be somewhere else. And she would shoo me out the door and just go play, go play with your sisters and brothers. Well, they don't want to play with me. I'm in the middle, I'm not in the older group and I'm not in the younger group. So it was kind of, I did entertain myself a lot, I'm sure, as a young child. But, getting into the story, with grits and guts is, and we all have our stories. And, I just had this, I had this big list here, and I'm just going to read it so that people can get an idea of all the things. Well, not all of it, because I haven't written them all down, but, domestic violence, having experienced that in a while back, and near-death experiences, which started as a child at the age of 6 or 7, and near death with a poisonous spider bite in Arizona, where I was talking to my angels and going down the tunnel, and also a vehicle accident that I totaled a vehicle when I hit a deer broadside at night, and I walked away. My airbag didn't go off. I walked away without a scratch, and my vehicle was totaled. And I look back at that and go, I think I remember calling for help, and I remember bright lights, and there were no other vehicles around, so I knew the lights weren't coming from elsewhere. So more on that. But the 20 years ago, I got hit with a severe lung infection and bronchitis, pneumonia, and they thought it was just a typical, oh, you'll get better from it. And so here we are, 20 something years later, and I'm still battling my breath. I wake up every morning saying, thank you, I'm still breathing. Yay, I get another day to go play or do whatever. But as a child, I suffered from these horrendous migraines, and they never had all the tech stuff that they have today medically. And so you just got put in a room for a day or two in the dark and hot compress, and that's how they managed them. And I suffered them through my whole life until actually I realized, after I started my spiritual journey, all of a sudden my migraines went away. And I start to look at that and go, what, I wonder what that is. So this about 5 years into, after having my severe lung issue, I was very unhappy with the traditional medical, go through that all. And so a friend of mine said, hey, why don't you take Reiki, see if you can't teach that body how to heal itself. And I went, well, I'm always willing, open, try anything. And so there I went. And today I have 3 Reiki masters of, Usui, spiritual, and angelic Reiki. And then I did a 2-year course on crystal resonance therapy with a lady in the US. And it was a very intense, a healing journey. And it was, and then did meditative studies, and just, I tried to learn as much as what I could about the energy of the body. And then partway through that, I was in a group, and I got invited to, or they were doing a trek to Alaska, and I went, a spiritual journey. Oh, okay, I don't know what that is, but sure. I just knew I had to go. And when I went and studied with this amazing woman, she stood in front of me, and she was teaching on the spiritualist teachings and masters of the Far East and Buddha and all of that. And she stood in front of me and said, your master says you're a spiritual psychic artist. And I went, what the heck is that? And why would I want to do that anyway? And I got told to be quiet, that I really wasn't listening properly. And so then I, made a couple other quip remarks of, well, there's a lot of artists and blah, blah, blah. And they said, no, this is different. You need to be quiet. And so I listened.
That's
And
hard to do, isn't it?
it is, because
Be
I was
quiet.
like, that was resistance, right? Well, what do you mean? I came here to be an energy healer, and I'm going to expand my energy healing. And now you're telling me I'm supposed to be an artist? And now think about this. I'd only done one painting in high school at 17. That's it. And now I'm creative for sure, sewing and all of that stuff and doing things, but I hadn't been drawing or doing any painting. And they said no. So I listened, and I came home, and after 2 weeks, and kind of went, wow, what is that about? And I thought, either I can do it, I can hear the message and try it, and then go from there. Well, shortly after that, well, not too shortly, but 9 years ago, as I was doing all my healing and moving from that sort of bureaucratic jobs, government, not for profit, all the, financial officer, admin, executive director kind of positions. And I had to do that less because I really couldn't work. I was really continuing to struggle with that health, and kind of questioning, well, is this doing any good? All this energy healing, and always questioning it. And then I had a visit from the breast cancer gene, which is in our family, right? And I actually wasn't expecting the diagnosis, because I'd just done a routine and they saw something. So they did a biopsy, and which was typical, of what I would go through. And then they lost the biopsy. And then about 3 weeks later, I got a call from my doctor and said, hey, can you come in? We want to discuss, she wants to discuss results. Went there with not a thought. And she said, and she was almost crying, saying, I'm really sorry, you have stage 3 metastatic, whatever word that is, breast cancer.
Metastatic? Is it metastatic?
Metastatic breast cancer.
Metastatic,
She
yeah.
said it's already in your lymph nodes. So you need to, and I'm going, well, that's really annoying. Like, I have a lot of stuff on my plate. I don't have time for this. And she kind of looked at me, and went, you need to make time for this. Like, this isn't you get
This isn't optional.
no, this isn't optional. So off I went to, to do that. And it was interesting at that point, my daughter was having a grandbaby, right, at almost within a week of my diagnosis. And then my father, who was 90, who had lived a very long life, was in the last stages. And we knew he was he was going to be departing this physical life. And so there was just a lot of stuff going on, and I'm kind of still in that resistant mode of, well, if I have to go through that, I went on a cruise. I went, yep, not taking that away from me. So off I went, came back and did a year of, the traditional chemo, all of that, and then went to recuperate in Arizona and got bit by a poisonous spider, which gave me a whole year, another year of healing, of trying to deal with all the medical, it's not just about the healing, it's going into these places that are, so overwhelming to get treatment and all of that kind of stuff. And, then, and I think the main point I want to tell my story, and I'm very reluctant. I don't talk a lot about all this stuff, right? Because I just figure, okay, it is what it is. Get through it, to see what, maybe there's an experience, maybe there's something to help me further down the road. Now, I want to say, looking back quickly, is if I hadn't been doing the energy healing and the crystal healing, I don't think my body would have been ready for the psychic art. That's interesting. Yeah, I wasn't ready until I had been going through all this healing process. So whatever life brings us, I know that everybody has these adversities, and I do know that as an energy healer, I learned that I actually was taking on and carrying everybody's energy over since I was a child. I would feel so sad for them. But I never knew that I didn't have to. Like, I could feel sad but let it go. And so all my life I would feel sad, and as a mediator I would take on all the different sides, and probably not understand that I had to let it go. And so, I work a lot with clients to really look at their foundation, do healing, and then do this coaching through spirit, and the spirit guides come through. And that's been an amazing journey of being able to see spirit, draw spirit, channel all the messages for people, because they're all around us, cheering us on, wanting to help us, wanting to participate in our physical life, to help us have an easier physical life. So yeah.
I love it.
And here I am, right?
So
trying to write my book.
I know, we'll talk about that later. But how did you get through it? Because, it sounded like you had a lot of challenges over your life. So how did you get through it?
Well, I think I always had a faith that there was something bigger than me. There was always this, and I was brought up in a strong, I want to say Baptist, but I won't say that really loudly, environment. And so there was that sort of faith part, although I questioned that as I got into the spirituality and all of that. But it doesn't matter what it is. It's a knowledge that there's the divine, and there's something bigger than us, and we're part of this journey. And so probably some days I didn't do so well getting through it. I'm sure I sat and wondered what the heck I'm doing. And I even had people go, when I went through, the really dark, parts, I got told, listen up, you can exit if you want. We'll arrange it for you, even, Spirit says, because you do have exit points. We can choose to stay, or we can choose, sometimes we don't have that choice. This is our, whatever you believe in. But it was really about owning what I have, and that we all have these unique gifts and abilities that need to be shared with, even if we share it with one person, or 2,000 or 10,000, but it's meant for us to share with the world, really, to help the world. And I've always had this. It's really funny because somebody asked, we're doing some work. We do work on energy work, and the question is, in 5 years, the question was, what would you hope to see if you could change one thing in, look ahead to 5 years, what would that be? And we're not talking about, I want $1 million or blah, blah, blah. And I didn't hesitate. I would want to see peace. I would want to see world peace. Wouldn't that be amazing? Like, wow. And I was like that as a kid. I wanted everybody to be happy. I wanted everybody to that, and hence my role as in mediation with the government a lot, is I wanted everybody to come out with some sense of okay, it's not exactly what I wanted, but I'm okay with it, right? Oh, here. And so you just, you put one step forward, one foot in front of the other, and keep going. And yourself, I mean, some of these adversities that people have dealt with, they haven't had a choice, really, in the physical. They're here, and now we have to deal, but they have a choice of how they're going to deal with it. And the more that I always look at it, the more experiences we have, the more we can teach and share others and help others, because we're all in the helping, I want to call, service of others.
I love it. So what's the gift in your story? I always love
Well,
to.
I have had many. I've had many, but the gifts right now for me is that because of the adversities, I get to do what I love, which is art, right? It's brought me to this place of being an artist, sharing my art, intuitive art, psychic art. It doesn't matter what kind of art, but I get to do, I have a wonderful space. And that's the gift in all of this. And also because I chose to, I don't want to say not put up with, but to just keep moving forward, I'm going to say that. I have, a blended family with 8 kids and 15 grandchildren, and almost the 4th great grandchildren on their way. And do we see them all the time? No, because they're spread all over, and we know how busy it is, and then the pandemic and blah, blah, blah. But I know that I am right where I'm supposed to be, right? And just sharing the story of the spiritual realm with people. Yeah, be curious.
Absolutely. Be curious. Okay, I know you have a book coming out. So do you want to talk about your book?
I do, and I'm going to talk about it. So it's a commitment, right? So it's
I know, that's why I'm putting you on the spot. I know what you're doing because you and I are coaching together. So I know what you're working on.
Yeah. And I actually started with creating a deck of spirit guide, soul divination oracle card, and it's 44 of the spirit guides that I brought through with messages, and with my knowledge on crystals, they've incorporated the crystals into the cards. And from that, I wanted to do a journal, and then I thought, well, maybe I should be writing a book, right? So my book is really that. It's Oops, I'm in the Wrong Body, about how I went through life thinking, maybe I was in the wrong body. I wasn't supposed to be, but the reality is, yes, I am in the right body, but there's more on that in the book. And really about that feeling where we feel not balanced, or we feel that something is off kilter, about really how to embrace our divine soul. What is it? We're not all meant to do the same things. I mean, thank goodness, because we'd be pretty boring if all of us did everything the same, right? Down to the right. So really about embracing who you are, embracing the body that you have, and what it really, how it's carried you through this thing called life. Yeah. And that's really, I have a lot of different chapters in there about maybe my experiences, but really I want to take it back to all those experiences can let me help you to really look at maybe even if you have to rebuild your foundation. And when I say that, it's about the healing part, the energetic healing of whatever has happened, and how can you do that, and I give you tools and in the process of that. And so that's what I hope my book will do for people, and really is to make them curious, because that's how we learn and that's how we experience, by being curious.
Love it. Okay. So how can people get in touch with you? How can they work with you?
Well, I'm actually just having a new website done, but you can look at my website, which is loiswarnock.com. So it'll be up and running for a while, and then when the new one comes, we'll merge it. And so they can look at the website. I have an email address. It's loiswarnock@telus.net. And I also have a couple others, but that are on the Gmail system, but that's the one I tend to have used for a long time. So, and that information is also available on my website. And yeah, just, I love the email, the aspect of the email, just because it puts it in front of me. Pop me an email if you have questions, or if you want to have a call together, because they're just redoing my calendar and all of that, everything that goes along with the website. So I'm not booking them off that, because it's not really working well. So an email, and I'll respond to you fairly quickly. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lois. I
Thank
totally
you.
enjoyed chatting with you, and I can't wait to read your book, because
I can't wait to read it either.
because I'm also an artist, and so I love what you're doing, because I just think it's beautiful, and someday I am going to come painting with you. Because
Absolutely. And the thing about art is, and it opens that creative, that right side, right, which it then gets into the intuitive. And I talk a lot about that in psychic development and in my classes, and for clients, about how that whole process really opens. It's sort of a spiral, as we go around. So yeah, that would be a tip for people. If you're feeling out of sorts, go get yourself a packet of crayons or pencils and download. I mean, there's a gazillion things to download a mandala, or download your favorite picture and just color. Just be in that, that energy of what you have right in front of you. Don't think about, chase away all that other stuff. What's right in front of you.
you bet. Okay. Thank you so much, Lois.
Thank you, Kelly. It's been a
You're very
pleasure.
welcome. And thank you for everybody for listening to this episode of The Grit, Guts, and Courage.